Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're all very welcome to this evening's Marketing Institute event entitled Achieving Standout in a Commoditised Market. We are especially delighted to welcome to Cork this evening's presenter, Mr. Conor Carmody, Consumer Marketing Manager with Vodafone. Thank you, Conor, for accepting our invitation to come and present to us, and for all the trouble you've gone to. Thank you very much. Conor has recently taken over responsibility for the commercial strategy and the execution in consumer markets for Vodafone Ireland. In 2009, he completed his executive MBA at the Smurfit Business School. Would you please give a warm Cork welcome to Mr. Conor Carmody?
What I'd like to do tonight, and the topic is around differentiation in a crowded marketplace, and to talk to you a little bit about the market and give you a flavour for the Irish telecoms market. And it is quite a crowded market, but it's also going through a significant change as we move from just voice and text and we move into data. And what does that mean for our business, and how does one change? I mean, the telecoms business on voice and text is in decline. It is a declining business, and the future source of growth and revenue is in data. And I'll talk a little bit about how do you get customers to make that switch from just using a phone for phone calls to using a phone as a mini computer, it's a shift we're going through in the business. And also talk a little bit about the competitive market. I mean, traditional competition is not just now our O2s or our Meteors or Aircoms. Competition is now Google, Apple, and those what we call over-the-top players who want to come in and go directly to consumers and cut, as they would see it, middlemen like us out of the loop. So we now are fighting a number of different battles, whereas before we had traditional competition to fight against. The two key case studies, I suppose, to illustrate differentiation I'm going to talk to you about tonight is brand and the brand evolution, and the Vodafone brand, which is a global brand, and how do we execute on that locally while remaining true to the global position. And I think we're starting a new journey of reinvigorating that brand. I wouldn't say we're anyway complete, and I'll just talk you through some of the thinking and the thought process that we're going through on that. To give you a little bit first about Vodafone and what the brand is and what the brand stands for, the brand promise is around power to you, and really it comes down to, trusted network and good value. Can we deliver on those two key pillars? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about the brand promise in a few minutes. But there's certain things around useful and inspiring innovation. Can we put in place a network and a set of propositions that allows customers to get the most out of the network? It's not about our network. It's about us delivering something that customers can then use. And when you think about data and you think about the future, the possibilities with your phone become even greater than they are today. They become fairly endless, open, and we have to find ways to allow people to access our network and make the most out of it. And that really is the piece we're going to talk about. And there's some pieces then about easy and simple to deal with. And arguably, as a mobile operator, we haven't really been that good at doing that in the past. One would argue it's, the complexity of tariffs, the availability of customer service. These are things that we really need to work on if we're to deliver on this promise here. And key to it really is this one is about power to you. So it's a Vodafone saying we will put the power with you and allow you then to decide how to use that. And the brand promise, I won't ask you to read the words in it, but the two words are certainty and possibility, and they really underpin what we're going to try and achieve. So certainty, it works. When you want it, it's going to work. It won't let you down. When you want to use the network, when you want to access it, when you want to make that call, when you want to access the internet, it's just going to work for you. And if we can put that in place, we can then enable you and give you possibilities to do what you want with that network. It's not about us prescribing to you, it's about enabling. We see ourselves as enablers, allowing you to create new possibilities. Manage your communications at home, work. Our staff will help you to do that. So if we can get both of these pillars right, we can deliver on this power to you piece. I would say we're not there yet. This is a journey that certainly locally we've just started on, and I'll touch on that in a minute. It's enabled by us, it's inspired by us, but it's actually executed and brought to life by people, by you, by all of us, using the tools that we provide. And that really is the core of the platform that we're going to build into the future. And the line we've given it is our network, your playground. So really, for us, it's our network. We've built it. We've put all the building blocks in place, but go away, enjoy it yourself. It's yours. You use it as you see fit. We've given you the possibilities to do as you will with that. And in May, we launched the first of the new brand executions, which really tries to bring that to life. Since then, we've done a number. We've built a summer campaign, which I'm going to talk you through. We've just launched a Christmas campaign, and they all remain true to this principle. So if this works, we should see just what the launch ad looked like, and it'll just count down there over the next few seconds. This went out on air in May and signalled the start of our new brand execution.
This isn't about us. This is about you.
It takes an ocean not to break company. It's quite company.
You are the singers, the makers, the change, the possibility. It might be our network, but it's your playground. Vodafone, power to you.
So that was very well received by customers, and the tracking research we've done on it since indicates that they get the messages we were trying to put out. I think if it fails, is that we put it out by itself and we didn't immediately follow up with something that brought it to life, that made it real. So when you look at that and you kind of say, well, it's a very nice ad, but what actually does it mean? Where does it follow on from? We've done a few ads since where we've picked up some of the characters. To be critical of ourselves, I'm not sure we've really picked it up as we should have. The people that you see in that ad are real people. Each of those is a real story. They're not actors, they were people that we found, and each of those has a real story to tell. And I think we can still go back and bring out some of those stories so that you can bring it a bit more to life. And that, I think, is going to be the challenge for us, because while it's a lovely piece of work, it did what it did, it really hasn't cracked it. And there's the danger that you go down the route and you make these lovely, well shot, well executed ads, but where's the beef inside? And that, I think, is really the question that we have to ask ourselves. So we're starting a journey. I don't think we're there yet, but certainly that plus subsequent executions are getting us on the way. But we are challenging the agency at the moment as what's the next stage in the evolution of that brand piece. What are the key learnings that I'd like you to take away from these few minutes? For us, and how relevant this will be to the audience, I think there are parts of it that are relevant. One, we're a global company, but we have local roots, and I think that's really important to us. And how do we continue to leverage that Irishness? We employ 1,200 people in the country directly. Indirectly, we employ a lot more. We are an Irish company. We're here to stay. And how do we continue to play that global and local and reinforce that local bit while leveraging the strength of the global brand that we can? For us, the key differentiators of the future, we spent a bit of time talking about the brand and where will we evolve that brand as a key point of difference so that we can compete against this madness of tactical pricing that's going on in the marketplace. Continue to work on these innovative propositions and do things differently to our competitors and try and innovate that way. And the third piece we didn't really talk about, but customer experience for us into the future is going to be crucial. It's going to be really important. And the reason is, a smartphone in your hand is a very different experience to having a voice and text phone, and you actually have a computer in your hand. And both when we sell it to you, you walk out with it working, and that is a big challenge, because the sales process to do that is about 15 minutes. Today we can sell you a phone in 2 minutes and in and out the door. So we'll have to re-engineer the front end of our business to do this. And then the back end of our business, you now have a very complex device in your hand, and at the back end our networks and our network people are learning how to manage that. Managing data throughput is very different to managing voice throughput, and there's different measures and different quantifications that go on in your network, and our network guys are just learning that. During the summer we'd some problems and we couldn't figure it out. It turns out we weren't looking at the right thing. So when the network guys got it, they kind of said, well, we've been looking at this because that's how we've always looked at it. This is now how we have to look at it into the future. So that customer experience piece and the journey we go on will be, I think, the next key journey for us in this area. So that's it. I hope you found that useful, and I'll happily take any questions, as long as they're not too difficult.
The Vodafone brand, you said at the start, is very much associated with the guys in the suits and the parents and things like that. So for the teenage market, have you considered at any point changing, adding like Vodafone Lite or Vodafone Youth or something like that?
Yeah.
Was that discussed?
It has been looked at. It hasn't been done in any Vodafone market to date. And Vodafone, we operate a mono-brand strategy. We have Vodafone, and it's the belief that if we get the brand right, it can appeal to all segments. You might talk differently to different segments, but the journey that we're on takes us from just being this big corporate brand. Can we stretch it a little bit so that it'll play into other segments? We think so. So in the short term, we've no plans to develop a Vodafone Lite, or we have some sub-brands around Vodafone Live or things like that, but a separate brand, not at this point. It's not something we're going to consider, either here or globally. Yeah, and I mean, I did it in a previous life. I did it with Meteor and eMobile. So Aircom is now trying to run two brands in the stable, and the difficulties are, it's a small market. It's only 4 million people. And the cost of trying to run two brands in a very small market like this is quite a challenge. And I think looking back in over my shoulder, the challenge in execution, strategy is fine, we'll have two brands, one will play here, one will play here. The execution of that is always quite difficult because you tend to have both brands chasing into the centre and you get very blurred in the middle. I think in a bigger market in Holland and in some of the other markets, you have a KPN, which is a number of different brands, but it's a vastly bigger market and you can get away with that. I think we're too small to do that kind of segmentation in this country.
There's a danger that you'd, use the identity of both brands.
Yeah, and both would chase into the centre. So you're trying to support two brands with a marketing spend, but both of them end up chasing after the same pot of available customers, and you're spending then both in there. I mean, and telecoms is quite an aggressive market. I haven't seen figures for last year, but the year before that, the total spend on media was in the region of 40 million. It's one of the highest categories. So if you're going to support two brands and each one of those has to get enough share of voice to survive and thrive in that, that's quite an expensive proposition, and you'd want to be sure that you'd get the return on it. You'd want significant growth to be able to justify that, and I think it's a challenge.
You mentioned that you're going to focus on positioning on customer intimacy, value, discipline going forward, and just wondering, have you any examples with regard to customer engagement and how you're going to differentiate versus the other players in the market? Because while you can say customer engagement, and a lot of people say that in companies, but how are you actually going to do it? And any kind of tangible examples with regard to how you're going to innovate in that context?
Yes.
In relation to the smartphones, I suppose, and the opportunities there.
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you so.
Well,
no, but I will. No, but I give you. Sorry, I'm being facetious. I will give you. I think it goes back to the question that this gentleman asked here. So there's if you're going to buy a smartphone, so those in the age of, and we've done some research on this, between 18 and 35, you're fairly comfortable with a smartphone and smartphone usage and stuff like that. Once you get to 40 plus, sorry, I have bad news for you. Once you get over that, it becomes a bit more difficult, and certainly as you go beyond that. But that's kind of the mass market, and we have to get there. And it is about an education piece. And there was a really interesting nugget we got. So Nokia's have been the predominant phone in this country over the last 10 years. Their share at the moment is minuscule. It's really interesting to watch how a brand in 4 or 5 years has just gone away by missing Android or by missing a next generation of platform. Where was I going with this? So the experience piece in store. And when we think about what customers are saying, they're saying a few things. I suppose I have a phone with buttons and it's a Nokia and it works really well and I'm very comfortable with that. Interestingly, they're not saying I'm wedded to it and I won't give it up, but they're saying I'm actually very comfortable with this. If you educate me, I'll be okay and I'll make the move to smartphone. And the nugget was, it's not that I don't know, it's not that I'm afraid of moving to it, but the first time I have to make a phone call, I'm really worried there's no buttons and how will I actually access it? And that was a key learning. So yeah, I'll get the data piece and I'll get all of that and you'll help me with it, but get me over the really initial hurdle. So I think this in-store piece, we call it walkout working. So when somebody leaves, they're set up, they know how to use the phone, they've had a little bit of time to think about it, and crucially at the back, the network works. So when I go to press that button and access the internet, it just works. And that I kind of think encapsulates it. In some of our other markets, we've gone through a really detailed back-end mapping process, and we're going to start something like that here. But to a customer, you should go in, somebody should explain it to you, they should sell it to you, and when you come out and go, oh, Facebook, it works. That is what it looks like.
And then you've got them as a customer, say a year down the road. How do you continue to engage with them then, say on the smartphone device? Do you
Yeah, we have. I mean, one of the things we do really well at the back is a deep segmentation and understanding of our customers, and we can do that in a variety of ways. We can do it by SMS, we can do it by mail shot, we can do it by outbound call, we can do an inbound call as well. Customers ring us, so I'm less concerned about the ongoing management, and I don't know. I'm open to challenge for anyone who has a different experience. Maybe I should have said that, but we're more comfortable there it's this education piece at the front to get a smartphone into someone's hands and to say, yeah, it works. Yeah, that works. I'm okay. And now I'll start the journey by myself.
Thanks very much for all the trouble you've gone to for us, Conor. So again, thanks, Jenny. Thank you for coming out. These events would be completely useless if we hadn't somebody in attendance. So we do appreciate you putting them in your diaries, and we hope you get value and benefits back for your effort. The other thing I'd say is, if you have any feedback or things you'd like to say, or I'll be around and some of the committee are around, so if there's something you'd like an area covered in, or a sector you'd like a speaker to come from, or you have any observations in general you'd like us to take on board as your committee locally, please feel free to voice your opinions to us.